Hi, I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation, and the topic today is 7 best ways to fight for your marriage. Welcome back. I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation. Our topic is 7 best ways to fight for your marriage. And this is very useful. You know, I also wrote an article recently about fighting for your marriage, and it's called Walk Away or Fight for My Marriage. And what I put in there, almost in the very beginning, was sort of like a time when you definitely have to fight for your marriage. So if you're looking for this video, you already made up your mind to, and I'm glad. But I just want to reinforce that if you have children, it's imperative that you fight for your marriage, because when you had your children, you made a promise to them that they would be raised in a loving, intact family. It's so important. So let's get on with this, and we'll go right through them. And I'm saving the most important for last. So if you get impatient with me and you don't really care for how it's going, just scroll all the way towards the end so you could hear the last one. It's very important. So number 1, list the things that you feel are hurting your marriage. And the reason you're doing this is a really good reason for this. The reason is no one but you has the insight that you have. So calm yourself down and go, okay, I'm going to be really, really honest with myself. What am I doing that is taking my marriage away? You see, here's the thing. Nothing is stagnant. There's no such thing as stagnant in the universe. Things are either improving or they're getting worse. It's just the nature of existence. So things that you do affect whether it's going to be trending up or trending down. You'll know the difference. You could just make a list based on some of the things that you said today or yesterday, some of the things that you know didn't have a good impact, even if your spouse didn't react, you know, because you know how you would react. So make a list of as many things as you can that are hurting your marriage. Then go back to the very beginning of this list and go, okay, I put this as number 1. Is this the main thing that's hurting my marriage? Because now what you're going to do is you're going to prioritize this list based on your own wisdom, your own judgment. No one knows it better than you. You don't need therapy. You don't need a coach. You don't need someone to take you by the hand. You can do this on your own. Now, I always suggest, and I know this is old school because now everyone uses a computer, I would say write it down. It's always useful to write it down and then check it. And then, give them values. You might say, okay, this thing that I put as number 1, that's a 10. I really got to stop doing that. You see? Okay, so that's number 1. Again, list the things that are hurting your marriage. Now we're going to go the other way, because my philosophy, frankly, isn't to work on your marriage, which is what most people recommend. That's the traditional way to see it, is I'm going to work on my marriage. I'm going to fight for my marriage. It doesn't really work that way. And I know that it doesn't work that way because I've been doing this for over 25 years, and I developed these systems over 25 years ago in 2001. I used to be a divorce mediator, and a couple asked me to help them save their marriage, and I like to calculate things. I see things very conceptually. And what I boiled everything down to was there's beneficial and then there's detrimental. And so when I met with my couple the very first time, I said, okay, let's make a list of the beneficial and detrimental things that you say and do. And let's really work on not doing the detrimental and work on doing the beneficial. Makes sense, right? It's simple. Now, obviously, there's so much more to this than that, because then you have to learn how to control your mind, which is why things got extensive. I mean, I worked for 8 years creating the systems, and now they've culminated in online marriage programs, one for men and one for women. But I also wrote 2 books early on, and I've trained many psychologists or coaches and ministers into how to be a marriage counselor, how to help other people. So we have a lot going for us here. But the 2 books are great. And let's go to number 3. Okay, so number 3 is list the things that bring your spouse happiness. Now we're making it personal. You know, it's a very interesting thing. Most marriages devolve into where you're no longer soulmates, you've become cellmates. You're fighting all the time, you're pointing out each other's mistakes, you're being critical, you're being mean, you don't smile as much as you used to, and these things hurt your marriage. But there's another side. You know better than anybody what makes your spouse happy. You have access to their buttons like nobody else does. And you got to ask yourself, why would I make my spouse unhappy when I have the power to make her or him happy? And the answer lies in falling back into our habits instead of consciously living our marriage in a way that produces happiness. Does that make sense to you? You see, what happens is we get overfamiliar. We take each other for granted. And then it's not like in the beginning. In the beginning, you made sure everything you said was calculated, was thought through. Now, if I say this, is this going to make them angry with me? Is it going to make them happy? Now I want you to go back to making them happy. What's so bad about that? You know, some people have the nerve to say, well, that's phony. It's not how I feel. It's not how I am. It's not who I am. Well, of course it's who you are. It's just that you are choosing to not choose what's a better way. You know, it's just like when you get pulled over by a policeman, you're all smiles. How you doing, officer? What can I help you with? And so on. You don't go, what's wrong with you? Why did you pull me over? You don't do that. We have that power. It's free choice, you know? And so use our discrimination, and it's a better way to behave. And it's definitely a better way to behave with our spouse because we want our marriages to be filled with happiness, right? You almost should write that down. I want happiness in my marriage. I'll produce the happiness in my marriage. And I won't do the things that make us unhappy. So next, list the things that create marital happiness. So what creates marital happiness? Again, go all the way back to when you were first together. You know that it's all about building that connection between the 2 of you. And you might say, yeah, but they're not doing their part. Well, I'm here to tell you, and this is why we have a course for men and a course for women. Now, the books are general. They're for both because it outlines what marriage is all about. But when it comes to building your marriage, you know, if you're a woman, as a woman, certain things please you, and they might even bug your husband, and vice versa. If you're a man, certain things please you, but they might bug your wife. So you got to be conscious of who they are. You know, a lot of people say, well, it's a partnership. We're equal. You're not equal. You're not the same. You fell in love with your soulmate. That connection is of the heart. The personality is an added benefit. And you have the power to see their attributes in a positive way or a negative way. It's a choice. It's literally a choice. Okay, here's another one. I can't remember what number. It doesn't matter. Never speak about your marriage to anyone. You know, this is one of the downfalls of going into couples counseling. I know that this is what people do these days. It's traditional. I could tell you that when I was a divorce mediator, I knew many marriage counselors, and they sent me my business. They were the ones who provided me with clients. And when I started saving marriages, they were very clear about it. There are so many pitfalls to marriage counseling, and one of them is that you have a person who's talking about their marriage. It's a very personal thing. And how you see your marriage, how you see your spouse is very personal. And to share it gives it life. And if you're feeling negatively towards your spouse and you express it, it makes it stronger. It's the last thing you want to do because you only want to see your spouse in the golden light of love. So never speak about it. And even with your spouse, don't talk about your marriage. You could talk about how much you love them. You could talk about how handsome he is or how beautiful she is. You could talk about how it was so much fun hanging out today. You could talk about whatever you guys find in common. Don't talk about your relationship. You could say, wow, I can't believe we have such an amazing relationship because it's very positive. It's not directed. It's sweet. But you don't want to get into the nitty gritty of what's going on in your relationship. It's very private. And believe it or not, how you see it is completely different from how they see it. I guarantee that. And the last thing you want to do is argue about which one is correct, right? All right. Be positive in your marriage, even when things aren't going well. You know, it's like if you're driving someplace and it's going to be great. Let's say you're going to a wedding or you're going to a party and some drunk almost knocks you off the road. You don't want to hold on to that, right? So you don't want to make your drive over and then the party all about that drunk pulling in front of you. And unfortunately, because the way the mind works, that's what tends to happen. So if you have a rule in your mind that you're only going to end, and your marriage is a journey, it's a journey of happiness and to happiness. Remember, you got married in order to be happy, to fill your lives with love and harmony. So you don't really want to speak negatively at all. Even when something negative is happening, eventually, as they say, this too shall pass. You know, there's a story about these two monks, meaning they swore off women, and they're on a journey, and they come to a river, and there's a girl on the bank. She can't cross the river. She just can't do it, and she asks for help. And one of the monk says, okay, get on my back and I'll take you across. He takes her across, puts her down, and the monks continue on their journey. And after a while, the monk who didn't carry her said, hey, you put a woman on your back. And he said, yeah, but I put her down when I got to the other side of the river and you're still carrying her. You see, it's up to us how we want to perceive things, how we want to weave the stories of our life together. Positive is always better, isn't it? Okay, next to the last. Avoid arguing in your marriage. Now, it's excellent if you could never argue in your marriage. It is. That's the goal to strive for. When you catch yourself in an argument, stop. Say, I'm sorry. You're right. And I'm really sorry. And, you know, if you have to kind of back away, just so you're not getting into this trap of an argument. Arguments are always circular in a spiral going down. They never, ever end well. And it's like getting into a car without brakes that's heading for a cliff. Why do that? We don't want to do that. So avoid arguing at all costs. Now, the final one, this one, I get a lot of, talking about arguments, I get a lot of arguments when I used to meet people in sessions with this one, but I stick to my guns. Be like you were when you first met. Oh, come on, you're kidding me. You know, life goes on, people change, things change. We had kids, you know, we got life clawing at us and blah, 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 blah. Well, you want to know something? Life wasn't perfect when you met either. But your focus was on making sure that the soulmate who you found, that perfection just for you. I believe that. I believe that God brings us our soulmate, that there's no accident about it. And then we end up blowing it. Why do we blow it? And I'll get back to this particular one, but the reason we blow it is because we allow ourselves to fall back into old habits. That's one big reason, when we should be treating them the way we treated them when we first met. But the other reason, which is why we're in existence, frankly, is because we don't know about marriage. Ask yourself, where did I learn about marriage? And you know what the answer is? TV sitcoms, movies, novels, not real life. Not by watching your parents or your uncle and your aunt. You don't get much information that way. Now, when we learn about driving, we thoroughly study the subject inside and out. We also study the rules of the road, right? And then when we go out to drive, everyone else is driving correctly, or there would be one accident after another right in front of you. And when there is, you know what they did wrong, because we understand driving. We understand the rules of the road. We understand what works and doesn't work. And then driving is quite the pleasure for most of us. I really enjoy driving. But many years ago, before we had social media, we used to send video clips around on our emails. And I remember getting one. This very rich man got his son a Lamborghini. And I knew what was coming. For his 16th birthday, he just got his license. He just got the car. He got in it, started up, took off, and drove into a tree. He wasn't ready. He didn't know how. And this is what happens to most marriages. Marriages don't need for us to fix them. They need for us to learn how they work. And that's why I wrote, both of my books are about how a marriage functions. And it includes you as an individual, your spouse as an individual, what your goals are, your aspirations, why you got married in the first place, what to do about arguing, what to do about all kinds of things, sexuality in the marriage, communication in the marriage. All these things are very important. And for marriages that are really struggling, it's not enough, and that's why we have our online courses, of course, so that you're doing more than just learning. You're also learning how to pull yourself out of the hole you dug yourselves into. So that's what that's for. So be like you were when you first married and watch how things change. How were you? You were complimentary. You smiled. You didn't frown. You didn't bitch and moan about everything or anything. You were very careful. You made sure that you were dressed properly. You made sure that you smelled good. If you were a man, you shaved. If you were a woman, well, these days you have beards. If you were a woman, you made sure that you were amazing. You know, that mirror got plenty of time, didn't it? You might have sent sweet messages during the day. All kinds of ways of expressing the love of your heart through communication. And that's what it's about. So I'm very glad you stopped by. If you think this was worthy of your time, give us a like. If you think others would benefit from it, send it. Oftentimes most of the time, when people sign up for the online course, there's a little intake form, and only one question or two or three maybe out of all of them is, how did you find this? Everyone says YouTube or a friend. Everyone. And the friends are the ones who found us on YouTube, who knew someone who was having a difficult time. And so you could do them a great favor. So I hope to see you again. I'm Paul Friedman, and God bless you. Thank you. And please visit our website. By the way, there's links below you may want to take advantage of. One is Ask a Counselor. It's a free service. Take advantage of that. And if you want to leave a comment, whether it's to tell me how great my hair looks, because I just had it done, that was a joke. Or if you have a question because you're going through something, I'll personally respond to you. Otherwise, you could ask a counselor. God bless you, and thank you for stopping by. Take care.